A lot of times, like I said, they'll have an HVAC contractor that's coming out 2 to 4 times a year. A lot of times they'll be on a roofing plan. Landscaping is another one. A lot of times they'll have a sprinkler service company that's looking at stuff. Exterminator.
Bugs.
Get those
Pool
records.
guy.
Yeah.
Made.
So a lot of times those things won't be included with the disclosures and other things. Get those things. Call those companies. Those companies are going to be able to tell you a lot more about what's going on with the roof, with those HVAC units.
Yeah, they can tell you like a history of, as they've serviced it, what things the current homeowners decided
That's right.
they didn't want to do or hold off until later.
Yeah. The other thing with documentation, and we talked about this one other time almost a year ago now, which is hard to believe, but call your insurance company, give them the address, and get a clue report. That's another piece of documentation that I highly recommend. So that is going to tell you all the losses that have occurred on that property. So if they had a flood, if last time they had a roof replaced under a claim, any claim that happened on that property, they'll be able to tell you that information. So you'll be able to say, oh, hey, I saw this was fixed. Can you tell me more about that? Right. So number 4 says get a local guide. Not really sure what this one's about, but
local guide.
Yeah, it says local guide. So
how big of the house are we talking here?
I know, right?
You need a compass.
I think what they're saying is if you're moving to a new area, talk to somebody locally, find out what's really going on in that area.
Well, then isn't that what your realtor's for?
Yeah, but
I was going to say, where do you find a guide?
Yeah, I don't know. I think this
isn't a state park or a national park.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what this particular.
Does he have like a hat and a little?
Maybe we need to look into this. We could be guides.
We could.
Yeah.
You have wool socks?
We'll get a double-decker bus.
Ooh, I like that.
So going down, the next one says do some research into the future of the area. And so that's kind of like, where is it going? Make sure they're not going to build a giant Amazon warehouse behind you.
No,
Good luck
I completely
in North
get that.
Texas, by the way. It's going to grow.
Because we were looking at a house before we bought this one, and we asked, and we found out that they were the lot behind us. They were going to put in a super Walmart or something. We said, no, thanks. We're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, typically if it's a new construction, they'll usually show you the forecasted map of what they think is coming. True. Doesn't mean that's what's coming. So.
No, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And then the next one says
buy lots of land. Buy land.
Yeah, right. The next one says do some research on the past of the home. Right. So don't just check out the future. Find out what's actually happened there before. Right.
Chalk outline.
That's exactly what they're getting at. Right. Is you don't want to move into a
pet
house.
cemetery.
Yeah. And the neighbors come over and they're like, wow, I can't believe somebody finally bought this place.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the big clue would be, how long has it been on the market?
Right. And number 8. So this one, Bill, you're going to like. Get as many inspections as possible.
Let's get a conga line of inspectors coming in and out of your house.
We talked about this earlier too. We just when we were talking about how long it's been on the market, that isn't one of the other issues we find with larger luxury homes.
Sure.
Sometimes they've been sitting for a while, and a lot of stuff hasn't been used.
Yeah, and a lot of times they've been vacant for a while too.
Yeah, that usually affects the plumbing, that kind of thing. Anyway.
And with these larger luxury homes, like I mentioned, depending on the size, the scale, everything else, a lot of times, it does behoove you to work with a company like ours that's going to bring in third parties, right? So if we're going to go out, for example, and look at that $2.5-3 million home, we'll bring in an HVAC tech that's going to pressure test your units. We can't do that. We're not licensed HVAC technicians, but we can bring folks in that can do things like that are going to give you that extra peace of mind, that extra understanding, that deep knowledge of those specific systems.
Well, some of those systems are so much more complex, or they're just so many of them, where we typically would just recommend you bringing an HVAC guy, and if you see an issue, they're already there. It just saves time, on when it's not overwhelming, but when there's a lot more to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one actually goes back to one of the earlier ones, which is, get a competent realtor that understands these types of properties. a lot of times it's hard to compare these properties. So when they're trying to set a value, one of the things they do is they look at what's called comps or comparables. Well, it's not every day, that within a couple of miles that you've got, 5, $3 million mansions, right? So certain neighborhoods that you do find that, but not every day. And they certainly don't have enough that have sold within the same period of time and things like that. So find a realtor that understands that and can give you some good comparables to make sure that you understand the true value. And then the last one is get title insurance. And this isn't just for luxury homes. Get title insurance. It's just something will save you. If you do have a title problem, it's going to save you a lot of problems, a lot of headaches.
Yeah, look, I'm reading the text there. It says it protects you from hidden hazards such as invalid divorces, secret marriages, and undisclosed heirs.
That's right.
So, yeah, that would really suck.
Yeah, it would. It would.
Okay, that's fun.
All right. Remember, you can always tweet at us at HouseFluent. Use the hashtag MyHomeQuestion. We try and get to those on the show. You can also find us on Facebook or at Instagram or at housefluent.com. Bill, are you ready to talk about some client questions or go through some client questions?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So the first one says, do you guys do inspections on commercial buildings and what is involved in those inspections? Yeah.
We do them.
Yeah.
We definitely do less of them, but we do them.
Yeah, we do. It depends too on the commercial building, right? So we're not equipped to handle, an entire shopping center or, a sky-rise building, something like that. We do what's called light commercial. So if you're moving into a commercial space within a shopping center, if you're buying a freestanding commercial building that's, a smaller, single, sometimes 2-story, just kind of depends. That is something we can help you out with. That is something, when we do those, every one of those is custom to your needs. We sit down with you. We talk to you about what it is you're actually trying to accomplish with the inspection. It's also one of those inspections we bring third parties with us. So, we'll bring roofers, HVAC technicians, things like that as needed. And it just kind of depends a lot of times on what it is you need and what you're trying to accomplish.
If it's a restaurant, if it's a beauty shop.
That's right.
It's much appliances and stuff is the big one on those.
Sure, absolutely. All right, next question, Bill. I am considering buying an older home in a part of town that's been revitalized. I love all the charm and character of the houses there, but I'm concerned I might be getting in over my head. What are some things I need to be looking out for as I'm shopping?
Pool floaties.
We deal with this one a lot.
We do, yeah.
Especially
we just dealt with this one yesterday.
Especially with younger couples in what seems to be the more affordable neighborhoods now, which are definitely being revitalized. There's no doubt. There's all over the Metroplex. There are a lot of the older neighborhoods that you
and some
wouldn't believe
pocket neighborhoods that are just gorgeous. That
you go into these little ranch homes. They're 50, 60, 70 years old, and there's Mercedes and Range Rovers sitting out front of them now, and you're like, wow. And I'd say the biggest thing with them for us dealing with those houses is a lot of them have been remodeled. Some are flips, some are not. Some are beautiful remodels that couples have done on their own. We just dealt with one the other day. They did a really nice job of remodeling it. Not your typical remodel to sell type. It was done very well. They went all out on everything. But that said, you still can have 70-year-old wiring and old appliances and old plumbing is the big one.
Plumbing is the big one.
If you could still have cast iron, you could still have, or it's mixed. You have PVC and cast iron. You have.
What about wiring?
Wiring, you can have aluminum. You can have copper. You can have 2-wire, non-grounded. You can have. It just depends on the level of. The remodel or whatever they did, the refurb to the house. It just depends on how far they went. And the good ones go all out. They do the plumb. What would you do first? I would do the foundation, the plumbing, and the electrical first. Because that is, and you get into these old houses now where they're trying to make them more smart home type homes.
They are,
and where they're really starting to mix things together and things that aren't grounded like that should be for the more complicated, what do you say?
Sensitive
electronics.
Right.
Yes. So, I mean, I love the charm of the old house. I love the old neighborhoods. I love the big trees. I love all that. But with that all can come issues too. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. And we've talked about that on other shows.
And I get why people are revitalizing those areas. They're beautiful neighborhoods. They're not the little stick trees out front, where every house looks the same. A lot of those houses were built by custom home builders 60, 70 years ago. They're neat houses. They have a lot of character. Character means many things. Walking the floors, you can, especially if they're pier and beam houses. I don't drop the marble on the floor, but I know guys who do.
And they roll.
Marble's going to roll.
Yeah, it is.
But some people like that part of it. Some people like the charm of that. The fact that your doors are only going to open half the year. And
last year I inspected a home in downtown McKinney, one of these beautiful old Victorians that was built in 1800s, and you see the immediate appeal, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you walk in,
you got back in time. It's grandma's house.
12-foot ceilings, the floors creak. It's got that smell to it. You can't really, you can't.
The woodwork is beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they're neat houses.
It's also been added on 100 times.
That's the thing. and you go up in the attic and you can see the old roof and they've added on. I'd say the biggest concern with any old house, any revitalized neighborhood in an old house is safety. It is going to be safety and plumbing. I would say those are probably the two big ones I would always pay attention to.
Yeah. As far as when you're shopping, though, Bill, for me, the simple things to look out for, look for cast iron plumbing. It's easy to see. You can see it right in the front yard or the backyard, depending on the house. You'll see pipes that are sticking out of the ground. Those are called clean outs. That's where they would clean out your sewer lines if they got backed up. If they look like black metal or rusted metal, that's a sign that it's cast iron. And it's not saying don't buy the house. It's just saying, hey, this is something that you're probably going to have to deal with.
You're going to want to get that scope.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's something you're going to have to deal with.
If you see PVC there, that's a good sign.
So you see white plastic, that's a great sign.
Somebody's spent the money.
Yeah.
So you don't look at it as you're probably going to be spending it.
Yeah, that's a big one.
At one point.
Also stand back and just take a look at the house from, back across the street.
Yeah.
And, if the roof's doing funny stuff and moving up and down, then again, there may or may not be something you're going to have to deal with.
If it gets your attention right off the bat, it's usually for a reason. If you're leaning your head to look at it, that's usually a good sign too.
Yeah. All right, last question. How far outside the DFW area do you guys travel for an inspection? It depends.
I don't want to answer this.
No, it really does. It depends. So, it depends on the inspection, right? We've gone down to Hillsboro. We've gone to Lake Whitney. It really does depend. For us to travel, obviously it has to be worth our time. And so, we do travel. People ask us to do it probably more often than we do. But it's something we're open to. It just sort of depends on the situation, depends on the inspection, and that kind of thing.
I like seeing all the areas. There's no doubt about that. We do a lot of driving. And there's some neat areas out there that I've never seen before, which I've seen lately, which we drove up to Lake Texoma the other day, and that was a neat neighborhood up there on the lake. That was a really cool neighborhood. That was an old house, really neat old house.
Yeah.
Big A-frame house. That was a cool house.
It was. It looked like a little ski shack.
It looked exactly like it looked like
it was really cool.
Well, it was not cottages, but the
chalet.
Yeah. It was neat.
Well, and if DFW keeps growing pretty soon, when you call us from Baltimore, it'll still be within the Metroplex.
Oh, that's just the east side of the Metroplex. Yeah.
There'll be toll roads connecting all of it.
That's right.
Yeah, we're laughing. But our smart car will take us there, no problem.
That's right. All right. Remember, you can tweet at us at HouseFluent. Use the hashtag MyHomeQuestion. We try and get to those on the show. You can find us on Facebook or at Instagram or at housefluent.com. All right. So, Bill, before we get out of here, just a couple of quick housekeeping things. We are going to begin broadcasting live in November. So people are going to get to see your ugly mug on television.
Wait. I thought it was just live audio.
No. It's live.
Like
live.
See us live?
Like see you live.
We don't want to do that. We're going to lose people.
So, Kelly, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about how we're going to do this.
We have to shower and everything.
I know.
I'm going to have to clean this room.
Bill's going to have to start wearing pants.
Yeah, we've been on him for weeks about that.
I'll try to remember that.
Luckily, it's getting cooler outside, so he's more apt to wear the pants.
I am wearing